Hi, everyone. Good morning again. So I'm glad you're here because I need your help. Let me tell you a little bit about Mason Enterprise Center, a little bit more detail, and then I've got a problem that I need your assistance with. So we are confident that we're unique in the entrepreneurship ecosystem. Let us know what messages resonate with you. What are we missing? What activities could we add? Help us fill in the gaps because we think we're executing on things the way that we should, but we're not seeing the results that we hoped for. And so with the accumulated experience that we have here, hopefully we'll leave today with some ideas and some things that we can execute on a little bit better. One moment. Yeah, so in the last year we moved into a new location in downtown Fairfax, and so very quickly, a little over 15,000 square feet in Fairfax. We're very close to Chainbridge Road. The amenities are as good or equal to any in the region that are occupied by co-working spaces and similar places like that. So anyways, very quickly, so what is Mason Enterprise Center? We see it as university-powered economic development, and it is about economic development. So when we talk about the things that we do and why do we do them and why are we engaged in the community the way that we are, it's more than just a place to come and do your business. It's actually a place to come and grow your business, but with a network of assistance. Our sites and partner programs extend the presence of George Mason statewide. I'm responsible for 5 business incubators across Northern Virginia. I think you've met a couple of our team members here. All of our 5 incubators are staffed by, or all but one are staffed by Mason people across Northern Virginia. And you'll see in just a minute, we've got so much assistance available to the companies here. And for whatever reason, we don't think that message actually gets across. Somehow we're missing something. So this is who we're looking for going forward. So in the past, we were what was called a mixed use incubator. We could work with a wide variety of companies, but in Fairfax, we're changing our goal. We're looking for something, anyone that's looking to do a build a business with that is more tech enabled, tech supporting, technology is the key piece of it. Or perhaps if you're a nonprofit, we're not open to all nonprofits, but if you're a nonprofit that actually supports technology companies, and certainly we're interested in that. GMU research technology. So you've heard about technology commercialization. That's what that would actually be. There's a wide variety of technologies and areas of focus that could be interesting to us. We've got experts on our campus that can help. We've got experts in the different sponsored programs that can exist. And so we think this is the way future, but it's because of high skill, high wage jobs with higher economic impact than normally would be found with most countries. There we go. All right, there we go.
Don't worry about it.
So when we're looking at working with people, we're not looking to get you in here on a short-term basis. We're looking for a long-term relationship. We'd like to work with you 3 to 5 years so that we help you kind of bridge the valley of death, if you will. And what we found is that for companies that are looking to do government contracting, often it takes 8 or 9 years to become really successful in that. Very quickly, what we have to offer is a wealth of advice and mentoring abilities, including domain expertise in a lot of different technology domains. We can help you with access to talent. We've got educational training programs. We can help you get access to various markets, access to capital and networking opportunities. Actually, I am taking one of my clients to our Accelerate Investor Conference over the next 2 days. And as you can see, we're trying to be selective. We're not for everybody as we have been in the past. We do have a preference for STEAM ventures, if you will, but that's written very, very broadly. So that it's not as narrow an aperture as you might think. There's a lot of organizations that we can work with and a lot of technology disciplines that we want to work with. So what's unique about Mason Enterprise Centers? So with regard to GMC, not only is it the top rated university in the US as of a few months ago, we were actually identified as the #1 university in the country for entrepreneurship research. So why should you care about that? You think it's research? Well, we have access to the best research resources here. And so it's easy to see how a lot of the learnings from the research can be implemented into some of our programs far ahead of anyone else in the country. As I say, we've got five locations across the center, and very quickly down below. And when we talk about the advisors and mentors, these are exactly who the cohorts of those are. So we've got MEC mentors, which are subject matter experts. We have about 30 of those available now. Our MEC partners, which provide essential services at preferred rates. So Paychex, Casa Permanente, and a number of others. The sponsored programs, which are also part of George Mason, Small Business Development Center, Apex, which helps companies do government contracting, International Business Development, which is trade and exporting, and then ICAP, which is technology commercialization, product market fit. So when we talk about co-working spaces versus the MEC, here's some points of differentiation that we see that maybe perhaps we think are not communicated as well or not as obvious as we think. So co-working spaces in the region have pretty high occupancy, generally 70% or above. Ours is a little bit less than that. Our facilities here, if you choose to come and take a tour, we'd love to show you this in person. They're easily the equal of any of the co-working spaces in the region, no matter how flashy or sexy they may be. But we've got all of the assistant services that the co-working spaces just simply do not offer. Our cost, the cost of our space is similar, and in some cases it's less. Our amenities are far greater, and we have a 30-year track record of helping companies grow. So when we're asking for help and telling you, well, you know, we're trying, and we're, you know, it's not really clear what we're doing. We don't think we're getting our message across. You know, we're not just doing the social media marketing and the newsletters and happy hour, all the things that we should be doing. And so those are going well. Those are wonderful. But over the next two slides, I want you to get a feel for all of these different entities that we're out meeting with in the region, that we're out there participating. We're helping spread the word of Mason Enterprise Center across the region. Excuse me. And so some of these are as simple as 1 million cups today, meeting with a smaller group here in Fairfax City. We've been participating over with Georgetown University, so we're getting to know friends over there who may be able to refer people to us. The SOAR initiative, which is a entrepreneurship initiative for immigrants and refugees from Mason, the Northern Virginia Chamber, the Northern Virginia Technology Council, but I mean, just up and down the list there, and the continuing list of the different entities that not only that these are not Zoom meetings, these are usually boots on the ground, our people in these places, meeting with people and trying to assist with their events. Okay, so I think my 7 minutes is up. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me. You know, I don't really do much of anything in 7 minutes, so I apologize for that. But we've got about 30 minutes or so to get your feedback, to take your questions, and I would love to try to help tell you a little bit more about who we are and what we do, and get your feedback on how we can grow this enterprise.
Great presentation, Eddie. I'm going to ask anybody with questions to please raise your hand or use the icon to raise your hand, and I will call on you. While I'm waiting for hands to go up, I was going to ask, do you promote all of your partners as you're promoting things? Are they evangelists? Are they folks that you want to put a club together so that everybody's in this, everybody is referring everybody else in the organizations?
The networking events sort of serve as that, but there are also other opportunities for them to get together. There will be meetings amongst the mentors. The partners a little bit less so, but a lot of them participate in 1 Million Cups or Nexco or BNI and organizations like that. It's not necessarily formal like amongst ourselves, but a lot of the partners that we deal with do know each other, and most of the mentors, because they work together for some time, know each other as well.
Thank you. When you get questions, for everybody, just so you know, be quick, ask your question, and then just ask one question. If you've got a second question, raise your hand again. And first we have Joan, and then we have Reggie. And welcome, Joan.
Oh, sorry, I put my question in the chat. How do you guys work with the ICAP program that's also run out of Mason?
Hi, Joan. I think I heard that. So the ICAP mentors, ICAP was a separate program that was running alongside Mason Enterprise Centers for a while. And then just this fall, the ICAP mentors became mentors for all of the clients at Mason Enterprise Center. And so not only here in Fairfax, but across our other locations as well. And so if, for instance, you were working with a particular mentor at ICAP and you decided to become a member over at the Mason Enterprise Center, you would still be able to work with that mentor for the next few years. To be honest, that's actually our goal.
Okay, and you said your summary was pretty quick and dense, so I missed a bit of it. But you said your location you're in Fairfax. Do you have anything? I'm in Alexandria. Do you have anything closer up this way, or is Fairfax the closest?
I don't have anything in Alexandria at the moment, but I do have something in Arlington. And so we've got a campus at Mason Square, close to the Virginia Square Metro. We will have a full-fledged incubator space there next September. Right now, we've got some co-working desks, and so there is a way for you to work with Mason Enterprise and actually do it in Arlington if that's close enough.
Yeah, that's better. I appreciate that. Is there a way for, and then I'll have to move on to Reggie, but is there a way for the entrepreneurs in this network to promote our services to others in the community through you guys? Or is it just for support?
Can you, I might have missed the point of that. Can you help me understand?
Yeah, sure. So, for example, I work in the energy, sustainability, climate, ESG space.
Mhm.
And there are a ton of opportunities there. I have an extraordinary network. I do consulting and coaching, and I have a podcast, etc. But so there are a lot of opportunities in this space that I think people do not seize. So it would be great if there was a way to leverage MEC and its related entities to help, and I'm sure this is true of all the other folks here who have businesses, to be able to promote their, if anybody needs help seizing opportunities in this space, call me, or if somebody needs help doing whatever they do, so that we can share, collaborate on projects to generate real income, as well as get help for our business challenges.
Yeah, so probably there's 2 or 3 ways that we could look at doing that. And so if you're a member of the center, and so we have these monthly networking events where you could show up, and so that's very organic, and that's those connections happen along the way. But what would be interesting to us is to sit down with you to figure out what it is that you'd like to talk about, and then we can feature you in some of the social media marketing that we do. We could maybe look at doing either a one-off or perhaps a series of educational events featuring you as the speaker on topics that would be interesting. Honestly, the things that you're talking about would actually be interesting to a lot of people that Mason Enterprise Center touches on in the community. And so, if we know that there's a need and there's a willingness to kind of step out and work with us to help promote who you are, we're more than happy to do that. As we work along, as the company grows, if you are eligible for, just a couple of days ago, we nominated one of our companies for DCNO's 25 under 25. And so if there are, even within your industry, or if there's some awards opportunities, nominations that we can do on your behalf, we're happy to do that. Anything like that to try to help you get exposure. But we would sort of craft that based on our knowledge and our working with you.
Okay, we need to go on to the next person, and
Yeah,
that
no,
is
I appreciate that. I just want to say thank you so much.
Yeah, we can certainly talk later if you'd like.
Great.
Reggie is next, and then John is next. And I want to remind everybody, ask only one question. Put your hand up afterwards if you have an additional question that you want to ask. That was fine, Joan, because that was very informative to all of us. But I just want everybody else to get chances to ask questions. and contribute. So Reggie, you're up.
Okay. Thanks, Eddie. I had a more like comments. So I went to DC Startup Week a couple weeks ago, and there was a lot of energy there. And I was, thinking about doing something. So I saw that they were one of your partners. I thought, this is obviously a great space, and you could do something on a smaller scale, maybe in conjunction with that. It's like a satellite sort of program, just to sort of, feed off of some of that energy, but bring it here to your space. I don't know how feasible that would be, but I do think that a lot of that energy can certainly be here, especially with the types of companies that you have here. So thinking about some kind of event, highlighting the types of businesses that you want to work with, that you want to work more with, bringing them into this space. I think that would go over really well. And I kind of thought of like a marketing campaign as you were talking. And so the idea is like made at Mason, right? And because you mentioned like this long history of working with a lot of people over a lot of period of time. And I don't think people know what has come out of here. Like I'm working with one of your clients now, and we're creating something that's really amazing. I feel like it will do great things, and I know there are other people like that, right?
Oh yeah.
And so I think just highlighting people that are here now, but people that have started here and they've gone on to do great things, because most people in the general public, they don't know what was created here, right? They don't know what started here and grew out of here. So I think telling that story will really bring more people in. And it's a great way to sort of highlight what's still happening at an even greater scale. So
No, I think that's an excellent idea. So I'll try to address the prior one as well. So actually the Made at Mason or some version, whatever we do with that actually makes a lot of sense, because there are some significant companies in the community that have come through here, and in some cases, our people have seen them grind away day after day, late nights, on the weekends and things like that. And so we know what they went through to get where they are today. And so actually you're totally right. We probably could do a much better job of going back in our history and tapping some of those folks that, you let them tell our story. What did you get from your time at Mason? Also with regard to Tech Week, very quickly, so I went to Tech Week. I loved everything about it. What I was not happy was there was much less of a Mason presence than I wanted, but we're already working to change that for next year. I suspect probably the reason that happened was we have our own event happening today and tomorrow, the Accelerate event. And I suspect that probably took a lot of air out of the room, so to speak, with regard to Mason resources and things like that. But we will be part of DC Tech Week next week, no question. Sorry, next year, no question.
Next, we have the two Johns, first John N and then John R.
Come on up.
All right, Eddie. So I have a comment and then a question. So you expressed to us that you were struggling to find tenants, and the thing is, you made a recent decision to, in a sense, streamline or laser focus on technology. So obviously you should be aware of the fact that you're excluding like someone like, I'm not a tech company.
Right.
So like if I'm not the right, but I would also challenge you to maybe rethink that, in the sense that I collaborate with people that are technology, that could be trades, that could, any business owner, any entrepreneur. I'm interested to learn how they're doing things, because I can learn from anyone, I believe. And culturally, I'm thinking, if you have, say, 5 companies all in the AI space, do they all want to be here? And are they afraid of other people stealing their technologies and things like that? I mean, I don't, if Reggie was next to me as a marketing company, I could care less what he's doing, or Jen's doing branding or tech, it's not going to, I'm not going to feel threatened by another business. So I don't know. I just think that opening it up, especially a university that has multiple, degrees and disciplines, like why only do technology is my only comment.
No, actually that's entirely reasonable. And as I said, this is somewhat newer for us. And if you will, I think it's fair to think about it as an experiment, because we think we can create a technology hub here in Fairfax City. Maybe we can't, or maybe it's going to take longer than we think. And so, John is absolutely right on point with that. So I will agree that we're thinking about that, thinking, okay, this new thing that we're doing, does that make sense? And at some point in time, we will have to make a decision. Okay, we need to open the door a bit wider to other sets of companies that, maybe are not purely tech, but it makes sense for them to be here because they align with something that we're doing in Mason, or people that we work with in the community.
we have John R. next.
Sure. So building on a couple of points. First, Eddie, thank you so much for your presentation. So polished and professional and beautifully prepared. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. It felt anything but that, but I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate your humility. Really was great. A couple of points relating to what you're discussing. I don't. On one hand, I was excited by the laser sharp focus on the technology potential for tenants. But I think before you can message, you have to build that out. Are you looking for that brand new technology company across 10, it could be any number of IT areas for a moment, your technology hub. But is this a 3-person or a 1-person or a 5-person company just starting out? And I don't know, and perhaps you've already answered that, but what are their space needs? So I think we have to understand that in order to know what we're messaging. And I don't know that telling someone, I want to be there for 5 years is exciting or a burden. Okay. So, hey man, we're space today. And as you grow, we have more space for you. By the way, look at our resources. And going back, the stories of the alumni, is very powerful.
Okay.
Yeah.
We
I'll stop
can-
there because this,
Yes.
Eddie, now you'll hear the answers from Jen and Ken. The best answers.
Yeah.
So John just helped me with who are the next 2 people. It's Jen and then Ken.
So very quickly, let me address something you said there. So no, actually, you're right. And so I don't really think about it as like the 5-year pitch as being scary, but actually I can see that. Now I will say we are structured so that you don't have to even be here 12 months. So when neither here nor there, but when you sign an agreement with us, you take a 12-month lease, but it's a 30-day out at any time. So if you don't like us and we don't like you, we can part as friends, hopefully.
Yeah, I don't know that it's on their mind. Okay. But if they heard from an alumni, well, over the 4 years that I was there until I had needed my own 20,000 square foot space, they were amazing to me.
Actually, I thank you for that. And so this is exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm looking for other perspectives because things that I think perhaps resonate in a positive way, maybe they don't, or maybe we don't communicate the real value of maybe we should be preaching the relationship and forget about the time.
Next, we've got Jen, and then we have Ken, and then me.
There we go. We can both. Oh, it's going to be blurry. It's a battle between Eddie and I. I wanted to clarify. I think there might be some misconceptions, and maybe I'm wrong around. Do you have to be an alum of George Mason to be a MEC? Do you have to be in Fairfax to be an MEC? Do you know what I mean? So maybe if you can talk to some of those that people might have misconceptions around, that would be great.
Sure, I can try to do that. So part of the reason that we have 5 centers is that we actually try to provide services to people where you are, with physical location if possible. We do have virtual members who are often working on something on the side. And so they may have an address with us, but they don't normally come in. They can use a meeting room, but they don't normally come in. But we have companies that are coming here to Fairfax. If there's a reason for you to come to Fairfax City, we can deal with you from wherever. And we know, for us, obviously the way forward is hybrid. I would love to have my folks here in the office 2 days a week. And for a lot of the ones that we have right now, that's not really happening. So it's a little bit slow and it's a little bit quieter around here in terms of the culture that we're looking to build. But no, we can work with people wherever you are. And so if you go away and you're 6 months in Hawaii or something, we can still work with you. You can still work with your mentors. You can still take advantage of our partnerships and all that.
Next, we've got Ken, and then I'm going to jump in quickly, and then Reggie and John again. John N.
So I have a very quick question about messaging. It's kind of like LGBTQ+. It keeps getting longer. I knew what STEM was. What's STEAM?
Okay. So in some context, STEAM, and STEAM is not even used that much. We don't use it as much yet. It's kind of one of those little experiments that you kind of drip here and there to see what the result is. And so that's one reason I put it in the slides today. So STEAM, the APs could actually be, could be arts, but for us, it's also adjacent. So we talked about the nonprofits. Normally we wouldn't take nonprofits, but the nonprofits that actually work with technology companies or support technology companies or sustainable energy or anything like that. Yes, we want to support that. We're interested in that. It could also be gaming. It could also be a lot of things. And so rather than arts, I'd rather you think of the A as adjacent and adjacent to everything else technology that we might be interested in. I will tell you as a way of example, one of our fastest growing, perhaps our fastest growing company in Fairfax is actually a company that teaches chess to high school students and grade school students.
Wow.
Well, how does that fit with everything else? But it kind of is there. So if it was an electronic game, would you be interested in it? Yeah, absolutely we would be. If it's a game studio, yeah, you're our people. But if you're doing it on a board, is that totally different? No, I don't think it is. And so we're very happy to have them, and they've grown like crazy since they've been actually on site with us over the last year.
I'm gonna ask a couple of real questions or whatever, or come up with some ideas. Because you had asked, how can you do this? One of the things that I think is really unique is that you're an incubator. And if you could put incubator in your name and or in a little line underneath your name, like a saying, that makes you stand out from all the other offices that are just places for everyone. The other thing that I was thinking is when I signed up for UPS mailbox, because I'm in an area where people steal the mail from your front door, they gave me 1 year plus 3 months when I signed. You may want to do something like that. It was easy for me to write a bigger check for the full year and get 3 months free. I went to renew it and I don't get the 3 months again free. It's just a one-time deal. So it may be something you may want to consider. Also, I thought, because you talked about all the alumni, mentor programs. What if you start a mentor program almost immediately with people that have graduated or that people that are there when you see people of similar interests where they can learn from each other. And especially because you are focusing on the entrepreneurs. You're probably also going to have a lot of service people like myself and Jen and John and folks. And that may be another link that maybe when somebody is new to your office, they get a session with some of these other people. And maybe it can be virtual, it can be online, it can be any which way. And maybe as you're selling your memberships, you bring up the hybrid membership and that you promote that as well, because they may know other people, and you put all your benefits together so you actually have a hybrid membership, and you may also have an online membership so that you might have 3 types of memberships.
Yeah, so, yeah, those are all good ideas. I appreciate that. And so we are totally thinking about separate models. How do we get more mileage out of the space that we have? And so thank you. Yeah, I will certainly take a look at that. That does make sense for us.
Perfect. Hey, Tess, did you have a question? Do you want to jump in since you haven't asked one yet?
Just a quick comment. I think one of the things we can do is, like, we already have a relationship, but I think coming to some of our happy hours that we have, whether it's OTFBA, Alternative Fairfax Business Association, or the Chamber, Jennifer and I are starting to, we'd like to have that synergy so that, and invite, some of the members that are here already so that they can either,
Sure,
they can start connecting within the business community. I
Sure.
think that's really important, so that people can see, oh, well, maybe even if one of the business owners that are already members of the chamber might already have their business, some of them are starting like little side hustles or a second location, or might not really have an office because they have a restaurant. So those, I think, just getting those collaborations within the business community and coming to some, just letting people know, hey, we're available.
No, I think that's a great idea. And to be honest, I've been looking more like region wide as opposed to like in my own backyard, and I should probably do a better job with that. So no, we're happy to.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, we've got Reggie and then we have John N.
Yeah, so the messaging that stood out to me the most was when you said, it's like co-working, but better. And so I think you can lean into that even more, because most people are familiar with like WeWork and stuff like that, but you actually enhance that offering quite a bit. And so I think just making sure that you talk about the ways that it's like what you would expect, but you're bringing in all these partners. You have all these sort of tangential things that really add to the experience. And so I just recently learned about the difference between an incubator and an accelerator, right? And I feel like if you're looking at 5 years,
Most people don't know.
yeah. So that I think there's opportunity to kind of, help people understand that, like, we get you started, we also help raise you up, to a point where you're at a bigger and better level. And so a lot of places they kind of cater to one but not the other. And so I think you can speak to people that are in both places.
Actually, that makes a lot of sense because it's difficult for a lot of folks. It's difficult. They don't know incubator versus accelerator,
Yeah.
really even versus co-working.
Sure.
They don't know. And so we've kind of hesitated. We at some point in time in the past, they used accelerator as part of who we are.
Yeah.
I don't think we were ever an accelerator.
Right.
And so, we're a traditional business incubator. We do things a certain way. We think that's the right way, but we probably actually could start using that as part of our messaging from time to time. Here's how we're different. Here's what this means. Here's how we're
Yeah. Just clarify that.
maybe forget the 5-year thing.
Yeah. And then the last thing is, like, so there's a lot of, like, centers, like there's a small business development centers and they're all over the place. And I think, even as a business owner who's kind of in touch with some of these places, like, I don't always know the relationship between them. Like, are they all part of the same thing? Because they all sort of say, hey, we're connected with the SBA and stuff like that. And so I think just real clarity on sort of where you fit in the ecosystem. Because, I go to the CBP over in Springfield. And so I know that they're affiliated with George Mason in some way, but MEC is kind of positioned differently, but they do a lot of the same things. They have the same offering. So I think just clarity on, so who you are, where you sit in that spectrum, and then all of the, the expanse of services that you provide.
I think one of the things we could probably do a little bit better job of. So we talk about how we're surrounded by all these things that basically these are friends and we can help. I think we probably need to condense that even more and say, okay, as a member of Mason Enterprise Center, we're the touchstone to all of that.
Yeah. I think, people don't know that. So
because we totally are. So if you meet with me and we discuss something that you have an issue with, I will put you in touch with the right people. If it's a problem.
Great.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Next, we've got John Ann and then Jen.
Come on down. All right. It was fun last time.
Yeah. So I was just on your website and I think I use co-working space. So I am a tenant in a co-working space. And I went to your website and I feel like the messaging wouldn't resonate with me, what you're posting instead of telling me your resources available and I have to read, I don't know what those resources are. What I'm saying is that I believe if the messaging was like, as a small business are you struggling to say, manage your cash flow? Are you struggling to find, proper technology solutions? Are you struggling to find people? Are you struggling to find clients? Those problems I'd be interested in talking about you or with you, because those are problems that most businesses are going to have, especially a small emerging company. To just say we have experts and I don't know what those experts are.
Okay.
I don't know what you're offering, accounting, economic, and also you have like 4 or 5 that flash and they're long. You have 2 experts here, something quicker that's like struggling to find clients, we can help. I don't think you have to tell your story with 1,000 words.
Well, actually, that's completely valid, and I thank you for looking at the website. We're hoping to get a new website, but I will say that a lot of the current content would be exported over as soon as we get that. So in terms of like reevaluating what we have and like what is the pitch, that's completely valid. So maybe more focused messaging, and easier view of like certain use cases. So like, what is there for me? How can you address my problems? We probably could do a better job with that.
Next, we've got Jen and then John Rutenberg.
One thing that I know you're working on is creating content that's relevant for startups and business owners. And one of the things that people may not know is all of the stuff you guys do, it's not for equity. And a lot of incubators and accelerators in the area ask for either equity or something else. Can you speak to that a little bit? Because I think that's a big differentiator too.
Yeah, for sure. And honestly, that was a thought that came out of spending a lot of time at DC Startup Week. And so there's a lot of great assistance across the region. Some other entities that are sort of like ours, others, there are various consultants and advisors and whatnot. So they all do, by and large, a really great job. In some cases, part of the way that they get compensated is equity in your company. And we do not do that, in part because of our funding. So in Fairfax, we have a partnership with Fairfax City Economic Development, and George Mason partners with various other counties and cities to have our sites around. And a lot of the programs that we interface with, SBDC and a lot of those guys, those have federal and state funding as well. And so because we've got those levels of funding, we don't have to take equity. We don't have to ask for that, but you can get not only equal advisory, but also you have like we were discussing with Reggie, we're the touchstone to all of these different subject matter experts to help along a lot of different questions that you have over the course of the early life of your business. And equity is just not something that we even really consider, to be honest.
Next, John.
Again, Eddie, thank you for standing here and listening to everybody. Really appreciate.
It's great for me. Thank you.
So the pain points of your prospective tenants. When you articulate the pain points that potential tenants feel currently, that will help you define your message. And I think you need to do that more and message based on that. And the earlier comment about the website, brevity is where it is. Jen Dalton made me read this book called Smart Brevity. It said people listen for like 28 seconds. And based on that, does it redesign everything?
Okay.
But it's pain points. Why should they come to you? And they're not coming for all the resources, by the way, even though it's really important. Think about what their space or use needs are. I'm 3 people. What do I need? What's hurting me?
And to be honest, we're learning some of that still. Certainly for Fairfax, with regard to space and location, what early stage companies need is still a little bit up in the air. I would say that's not quite settled yet. So that's one of the reasons that we're trying to figure out how should we adapt the models that we have, or should we? I mean, so we're truly looking at things like potential time sharing and things like that, if it makes any sense.
Again, it goes back, getting 3 5,000 square foot tenants is different than getting 50 300 square foot users. So you know it better than I.
Yep. No, I totally agree.
Before I turn this over to Jen for the final question, I just wanted to add, one of the reasons I used to use mailboxes, etc., and other places was for the address, because I didn't want people to see my home address, and I wanted to make it look more official. Other things were for answering my phone and other things. So you may have a beginner's entrepreneur package that includes, you get the conference room, you get these, you get and maybe this is the online membership or something, but where you have touch points with your office. And the other question I had is, are there other brother and sister offices for your company in other areas? So if somebody's up in Baltimore, they can use the space somewhere else if they're an entrepreneur and they want to have a meeting up in Baltimore or down in Roanoke or somewhere else. Those are other things that you can add, because the reason why somebody may not be in it now is they don't think they're going to be there every single day. But having that address, having that phone covered, and other types of things are very important services that you offer.
Okay, thank you. We have some of that. We don't have the relationships of, say, in the Baltimore area, but in Northern Virginia, if you're a member here and you want to use space at one of our other facilities in Arlington, Fauquier, wherever, you can totally do that. We're actually implementing that now and actually trying to activate that with getting some of the clients to do it.
So Eddie, I'm gonna push you away from in front of the camera.
That's right.
Thank you, everyone.
And it's time for the final question.
I think that was very enlightening, and every time I hear you speak, Eddie, about the MEC, I am more impressed with the extraordinary resources and facility and organization that you put together here. It's just awesome. So one final question for you.
Sure.
And you can be heard on the mic. What can our 1 Million Cups community help you with, like, right now?
Send me people. If I need to work with innovators, we'll sort it out, and try to help wrap them, if they're interested in working with us, we'll try to put them in a model that works for them, if it's even appropriate. In some cases, if it's not the right time for you to be coming on board, to be honest, we'll tell you that. If you're thinking about an office and that's not the right thing for you, we'll tell you that. We will make sure that you're taken care of, even if it's not exactly the right thing for us at the time. So please just send us people that you think would be cool to work with and have potential to grow.
That's a great lesson for everybody who's in business, to bring integrity to your prospects and tell them honestly, hey, it ain't me, but I'll help you find who is right for you.
Okay, thank
for
you.
that. Next week presenter is Bill Boyd. He's the founder of the Charitable Pay Raise. I am really looking forward to his presentation to learn about what he does. I would tell you more about it, but I don't have a lot of information at this point. I apologize. Many hands make light work. We are looking for people who want to join our cadre of organizers. It's not just you give to us, we give back to you. It's an opportunity to develop skills. It's an opportunity to gain visibility for your business. And if you're the kind of person that likes to have fun and make friends, we're not bad. We're not a drinking crowd. There are many upcoming events in our community. You heard about some of the things that are going out in the broader footprint from our presenter and from some of the other people earlier. But I'd like to bring to your attention a couple of things. Go to this QR code to get to the events list from the Central Fairfax Chamber of Commerce, Central Fairfax Chamber of Commerce, and see the entire list of offerings. Fairfax Rotary, if you're not familiar with Rotary, they're an awesome organization that does community service in the neighborhood. They're everywhere. Our presenter schedule, we have the Charitable Pay Raise next week. We have the Virginia SEC Invest Wisely project coming up the week after that. And then make a note on this calendar that there are some weeks that we are not meeting as a result of the holiday season. At the end of November, we have the Laundry Basket coming back, a very interesting small business. And we're going to be very glad to hear how they've progressed since they were here before and what their new challenges are. Help us spread the good word. When you follow us on social media, you'll receive our broadcasts. And the way you can help us spread the word is to share those back out to your community. Help us increase the footprint, increase the participation by participating with us on social media. We're on all those platforms. Scan the QR code, you'll get the links to hook up with all those places and more. Thank you. Thank you for attending. Thank you for participating. It's your attendance and especially your participation that helps us improve entrepreneurship in the neighborhood. Spread the word on the MEC. You heard what Eddie was asking for. He's saying, send him people. And people, you may be able to send him some, take him at his word.
Keep that up for a moment because everybody needs to check in. We didn't have the link earlier. Thank you.
At the bottom of this screen is a QR code that you can use to grab for our check-in process. You can check in for this week, and if you missed the opportunity to check in last week, you can go backwards to do that. We use the data to help keep track of our growth. If you watch an indicator, it gets better, so we watch our growth. And it helps to communicate to Kaufman and Kansas City that we are, in fact, the strongest and best 1 million cups in the country. You got anything after that?